today's video I'm going to be sharing with you my most recent minimal shoe purchases, and that is 2 pairs of Vivo Barefoot boots. These are the Gobi Highs. They are very similar but they're slightly different models in black and brown. I'm going to be running through with you the characteristics, the look and the design of them and my experience of them so far. So let's get right into the video. Hi, welcome back to Red Curl Vegan. Thanks for joining me in another barefoot shoe video today. If you're new here, my name is Meg. If you've already visited my channel, then you'll know that I am on a huge barefoot shoe journey at the moment, or minimal shoe journey, or zero drop shoe journey, and I've been really enjoying reviewing all of my purchases with you. Today I'm going to be sharing with you my most recent purchases, which is 2 pairs of barefoot boots. I did a video recently on a pair of Chelsea boots, which were the Fulham Vivo Barefoot boot. I mentioned in that video that I had a brown lace-up pair on their way. That's what I'm going to be showing you today, and also another black pair. So this is kind of an unboxing video in the sense that I haven't worn them outdoors yet, and I only just received them yesterday and the day before yesterday. This is my first pair of kind of lace-up smart boots. So the Fulhams that I did a review on just recently were my first ever pair of smart minimalist boots. These are now my first lace-up pair. I also have some hiking boots, which I just recently did a video on as well, the Tracker FGs. So these are the boots here. So these are both from Revivo. If you've already watched my videos, then you'll know that I get all of my barefoot shoes from Revivo. That is a second-hand kind of sister company to Vivo Barefoot's main website where they sell their new shoes. These are all refurbished shoes, sorry. So these are leather boots, but as a vegan, I'm happy to buy used. I've always mentioned that in my previous videos. They're very similar in design. I'm going to make sure that you can see them here. Lighting isn't great in this room, so I will do my best to make sure that you can see them. This is the black pair. I'm going to struggle to hold them up at the same time. The black pair was an excellent grade, and they are specifically a Gobi Hi top leather black, and these are specifically a Gobi Hi III in brown or bracken. So they are both Gobi boots, but they are slightly different in design, which I kind of like. So they have brand new soles as ever on Revivo, which I think is always an amazing thing. The soles are slightly different on these two. They are this kind of hexagon print that they have on their Primus lights as well. So they're basic grade of sole, if that makes sense, or tread, sorry. But these are slightly different. They have a kind of diamond pattern within the sides of the hexagon. Is it hexagon? Yeah, I think that, I'm hoping that's right. They have a slight diamond pattern in the tread, whereas these are just the standard kind of smooth sole. You can't really see much of a difference. I don't think you'll be able to see this on camera very well because it's barely noticeable, but it's just a slight indentation, kind of grain in the treads here, which is a little bit different. And then here it just says patented, which it doesn't say on the other pair, and I've never seen that before. So these were a great, and these were an excellent grade. So these were slightly more expensive, but they're still in fantastic condition as far as I'm concerned. I love the fact that Revivo prevents shoes from going into landfill, and I'm also happy to not be contributing to the demand for new shoes. So millions and millions of pairs of shoes end up in landfill every year, which is a huge waste problem. So I'm really happy to have found a company that offers this kind of refurbishing scheme, if that makes sense. It's not something that I've ever come across before. Oh, and just to mention, I say this in all my videos, but if you are new to my channel, then I'm not affiliated with Vivo Barefoot in any way. None of my videos are sponsored, so yeah, I'm just sharing with you my honest opinion as an average person on a barefoot shoe journey. So just wanted to mention that. So these are classed as winterproof but not water resistant, whereas the Gobi Hi tops are classed as water resistant. I keep having to check the side of the box because they are both Gobi Highs, so to speak, but they have a slight difference in name. So just to make it easier for you if you're interested in one or the other or both of them. So the Gobi Hi 3s in brown are not classed as waterproof, but I have run them under the tap. I did this with my Fulham Chelsea boots as well, just to check that there weren't any immediate leaks in the seams or the stitching, and they were absolutely fine. So whilst they're not advertised as water resistant, I'm pretty happy that they'll do okay on an average day of rain, not maybe a downpour and not spending hours in it, but I'm happy that I'll be able to wear them through a bit of rain throughout the day. So there were a couple of marks here in the leather which were quite noticeable when I opened the box, but it's nothing that I'm worried about. I think they're in great condition, and like I said, the fact that they are refurbished and saved from landfill is something that appeals to me, so I'm not bothered by the slight marks. So the difference with these is that they are fleece lined, which I think is really amazing. This is the first pair of Vivo Barefoot shoes that I've had that are fleece lined. I'm hoping that you can see this. And it's all fleece lined in underneath as well, underneath here as well, which I think is really, really great. So these are water resistant. I've run these under the tap as well, and you can see that the water repels straight off, whereas it kind of leaves the leather looking wet on these. But like I say, I'm happy that they're relatively water resistant, to be honest. I wouldn't be wearing them in great big puddles and downpours anyway, because these are a smart pair of boots. So yeah, what else can I say about them? The standard zero drop sole, as you can see there, they're very, very flexible, which is always something that I really, really love about barefoot shoes. The same with these ones, very flexible. Well, it's the same sole, it's their generic flatter sole. They do firm ground, soft ground. I'm not sure if they do another style of tread, but this is their kind of starter sole, if that makes sense. They are both incredibly lightweight, which I'm really, really happy with. The next surprising thing about these for me is that these are a size 6, which is my usual size in boots and shoes. All of my barefoot shoes so far from Vivo Barefoot have been size 6s, apart from my Kuru sandals, which are a size 5. But these are a size 7. And I'm going to be honest, in this video, I did want to touch upon something that I mentioned previously in one of my latest videos, where I said about how I have found every pair of shoes that I have from Vivo Barefoot to be really comfortable. Now, I want to just slightly correct that, because I always want my channel to be an accurate, real, raw, you know, true representation of my life and my journey and my experiences. So every single pair of barefoot shoes that I own from Vivo Barefoot currently, or from the Revivo website, are incredibly comfortable, and that's obviously why I've kept them. But I did briefly mention that I have returned quite a few pairs as well, so I just want to disclose that. I want to be very honest and real with you about that. I have returned quite a few pairs before I found these two, and I just wanted to say that in this video. So the process hasn't necessarily been that smooth sailing as I would have hoped. With my Primus Trail FGs, which was my first ever pair, that was very straightforward. Both me and my partner bought the same pair, and if you've already watched my videos, then you'll know that we got those from the Vivo Barefoot main website, so those were the only ones that were new. They were vegan though, so that was okay, and they offer a 100-day guarantee return on them, even if you've worn them outdoors, which we thought was most sensible, as this was a completely new journey for both of us, and we wanted to make sure that this was the right thing and that they were comfortable. Ever since that, every single one of our pairs have been second-hand, and I will be honest that it can sometimes be a bit of a lengthy process. So as Revivo is a second-hand website, you have to wait for sizes to come in and be available, which I guess kind of makes it slow fashion, which I appreciate. Also, with them being used, some of them fit slightly differently because they've had a previous life and they've been worn slightly differently. Obviously, there's also different grades, so they do good, great, excellent, and never worn. I don't own a pair of never worn ones from Revivo because all of them have been leather, and I kind of class that as the same as new. So there have been discrepancies in sizes. The fact that these are a 6 and these are a 7, and actually look-wise, the black ones kind of look more narrow, which is very odd. It has taken me some time to find the right pair of boots, so I will be honest about that, and I wanted to mention that today in this video, just to be very real about my journey. You know, it's not that every single pair of Vivo Barefoot shoes are comfortable, because some that I've ordered haven't been comfortable, but inevitably the ones that I review in my videos are comfortable, otherwise I wouldn't keep them. But yeah, to start looking at a size 7 pair of shoes for me is just completely mind-boggling, if I'm honest. And I do know that when I was researching barefoot shoes and transitioning to a barefoot shoe lifestyle, that people talked about how your feet will widen because your toes are being allowed to spread more in barefoot shoes, that you may potentially go up a size. and I found that quite interesting. I thought, how long is that going to take? You know, are we talking months or are we talking years? Now, I don't necessarily think that it's that my feet have massively widened or grown or gotten bigger in the last couple of months. I've only been wearing barefoot shoes for, I think, 4 months now. So I don't feel that that's happened already. I just think that different styles fit differently. Some shoes, you know, a 7 would be absolutely way too big, and some a 6 is perfect. I have found that their boots tend to size a little bit smaller. So if you are looking at boots from Vivo Barefoot or you're interested in their Revivo website, I would probably recommend going for a size up. The fact that these are all fleece lined means that I probably wouldn't wear them with my thickest pair of socks anyway. But even with my medium kind of sock thickness, if that makes sense, these felt right. So I ordered another 2 pairs alongside these. One, I think, was the same model. I think the other one was this model in black. And they were a 6 and a 7. So I just wanted to quickly grab them whilst they were in stock, which is quite unusual. And I just wanted to try them out and really just see all together how they kind of fit. Now, that is quite an expensive way to trial barefoot shoes, and I will be completely honest, I had to wait for refunds on previous ones to be able to do that, and the money has come from my savings. Obviously I'm not going to keep all of them, so that money will come back to me, but it is quite an expensive investment in itself, and I will say that that is quite an expensive way to trial the shoes, if that makes sense. Getting them all at once, you know, results in several hundreds of pounds at a time. And whilst I will send most of them back, like I say, that can be a bit of an expensive way to do it. But it's kind of, if you're able to, the best way to do it, because like I say, Revivo don't always have stock in the size that you might want. You have to kind of wait for their shoes to turn up from previous customers or old models. And so sizing has been a bit of a process. And so I'm happy with a size 7. I will say that these in a size 6, I'm probably going to be waiting for a size 7 in these, or possibly another style of brown boot. So I thought I'd mention them in today's video anyway, because I'm conscious that I haven't actually done videos on the ones that I've returned. I briefly mentioned this in a previous video, whether that would be helpful to some of you, because whilst personal style and preferences are different with each individual, maybe it would be useful for you for me to show you the ones that I'm wanting to return. Maybe that might be helpful. Yeah, I wanted to include these boots in this video today because whilst I'm pretty certain I'm going to keep them, the fact that I've got a 7 in these kind of tells me that, you know, maybe a 7 would be all right in this pair, but they don't have my size at the moment. And there are a couple of other brown ones that I'm interested in, so I'm going to be holding out. I'm, you know, showing them in this video today because, like I said, I'm fairly certain I'm going to keep them, but I also thought it might be useful to share with you. If you're interested in barefoot boots or just the barefoot shoe journey in general, then yeah, I'm hoping that this is helpful. And so now, just to round off the video, I've got here all of the pairs of boots that these are swapping, and I have 4 pairs of boots that I am swapping out for these 2 barefoot pairs, and I just wanted to quickly show them to you on camera. I'm trying to include my old conventional shoes in my barefoot videos now. I've done that in the last few, just so that if you're interested in barefoot shoes or you're new to this kind of transition, then you can see the differences. I'm hoping that that's something that's helpful. You know, let me know if there's another way that you would prefer me to do it in the comments section, of course. But I have this pair here, for example. This is a very chunky, very heavy, very clunky pair of biker boots. These are from Primark, so as always, they're not ethically made, they're not very sustainable, and they're not very good for your feet, and they're not great quality. I also have a pair here that are brand new. These were from New Look, I think 2 Christmases ago now. I can't really quite keep track of that because of the pandemic. I don't really know where the year's gone, but these are brand new. So again, very clunky, very chunky, thick rigid soles, very heavy kind of biker boots. Again, as you can see, I'm a bit of a fan of that kind of tomboy look and the biker lace-up boot look. And then I've got these ones here, which I showcased in my Vivo Barefoot Fulham Chelsea boot video. I said that it wasn't a direct replacement for those, but I just wanted to show you an example because these have particularly narrow toe boxes. So I thought that that would be helpful to show you as a comparison. And then I also have these here, your standard typical Converse style high top trainer. So the reason I like I say, want to show you my conventional shoes that are being swapped out in the barefoot shoe videos is because I think it's helpful for you to see the differences. So let's just say these, for example, the black barefoot ones with these chunky biker boots. Sorry, I keep looking behind to make sure that you can see this in the camera correctly. So the instant difference that you'll notice is the sole of the shoe. So these are zero drop, so there's no difference between the back of the heel, where the heel sits, and where the toes sit. Whereas in these you can see that there is a slant. There's also a huge, great big heel here, which is completely solid. The boots have near to no flexibility in them whatsoever, whereas these are uber duper flexible, which I really love. The heel isn't as flexible as the front, but it still rolls up, which I think is amazing. Whereas if you look at these, I mean, there's absolutely no movement in those whatsoever. So your foot isn't in contact with the ground. And then the toe box goes into a V shape, into a point, which, as I always say in my videos, is not the natural shape of our toes. Now these are, I will admit, quite narrow in terms of a bit. It's really hard to hold both of these up together. Hopefully you can see what I mean. So these, like I say, are relatively narrow for a barefoot boot, but the little toe side comes out nice and rounded, your toes aren't squished in together, and the big toe side is flat. And this is always how I describe my barefoot shoe videos, because they all have that same characteristic. Whereas these, you can see that it goes in at a point, and whilst they're not as narrow, for example, as this other conventional pair, it's still not the natural shape of our foot. And then just quickly to compare these two, again, this is a very, very chunky, completely rigid, hard sole that's very high off the ground. It's also not zero drop. The toe box isn't necessarily super narrow, but it's also not the natural shape of our feet. So you can see the difference there, which I think is really, really cool. And so yeah, just as one last example, these high tops here, you can also see the difference in the pointy toe box, whereas these ones are a lot wider and allow for lots more room for our toes to spread naturally. These are also, I guess you could class these as zero drop in effect, but they aren't flat to the ground, therefore not allowing for sensory feedback. You can't feel the ground as much beneath you. The messages from the soles of our feet to our brain aren't really happening as naturally in a pair of shoes like this. Whereas these are very flexible, very thin, and very close to the ground. So your feet and the muscles in your feet are allowed to move a lot more freely and a lot more naturally as well. So there you have it. I hope that this video hasn't gone on too long, but I do hope that you found it useful. As always, if you did find it helpful, make sure to give it a thumbs up and click that subscribe button if you haven't already. Your support always means the world to me. It enables me to grow my channel and keep making content for you. Make sure to hit that notification bell as well to get more updates on new uploads from myself, and share this video with anybody if you think it might be helpful to them. In the meantime, take care and stay safe, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!